Hi people, my name is Jeff and today we're going to be doing another Total War Shogun 2 replay. This one was played between me and a good friend last night, testing his multiplayer rebalance mod. Well, multiplayer rebalance submod for Scranble of the Far East. I'm going to be playing as the United States, bringing a good contingent of Marines, a couple of foot riflemen, 4 units of Montgomery Guard, and 4 units of National Lancers. I'm going to be playing against Prussia, and this is going to be one hell of an interesting battle. My main idea was to lock down the forests, make it so he cannot cross without being punished. So seeing that his cavalry was moving to my right side, I decided to, in a bit, move up this unit of riflemen and unit of Montgomery Guard to go and sit and hold this forest. Meanwhile, I have 2 units of my cavalry over here ready to flank. On the other side, I have my 2 units of cavalry scouting to see if this forest is occupied. It didn't seem like it was, so I will be pushing 4 units of my Marines and my 2 other foot riflemen right into this forest. I got 3 more units of Marines over here in reserve, but I'll be deploying 2 of those units over to this island to kind of hold it down for me. And as you can see, I am scouting with my cavalry because line of sight is the main thing that has changed so far. Other than that, some units have increased or decreased in size. So, now that I know that this forest is empty, I'm going to be moving in my skirmishers to do some recon by force, as well as pulling my cavalry back up onto this hill to have a clear line of sight. Up to this point, it's been very quiet until we can see there's our 2 units of Guard Uhlans over here. Turns out that's 3 units of Guard Uhlans, and this is one of the units that have been increased in size from 60 to 80. Making them less susceptible to mid-tier cavalry, like my National Lancers, from just one-on-one-ing them. Meanwhile, I'm going to be popping my first of many military cadences. I use this ability practically constantly, as it will refresh your unit's stamina for the duration of the ability. So now we are going to enter, honestly, a bit of a boring period in the match, as we both try to maneuver around each other. Oh, it was actually into the Marines. I moved over here. But we are just going to try and maneuver against each other. I do a couple of excursions with my cavalry in. Then we spot the first units, a unit of Jaeger and a unit of Grenadier over here. The Jaegers will occupy this forest and won't really be seen for a while until later. And the Grenadiers are going to either sit in this forest or move over here. Oh, and that is a cannonball coming in. Oh, he is reacting to my cavalry movements.
An ambush, General! An ambush!
And then as you can see here, he is moving Grenadiers into this forest. So I decide to just rush it and move up. And this is where the battle is going to get interesting again. Because this is going to be a forest against forest shootout. With my Marines versus his Grenadiers and Jaegers. And this is going to be the main shootout for the rest of the battle. With cannonballs raining down from his howitzers, and my max level sharpshooters because I vetted these guys up as far as I could with what budget I had left over, are going to be fighting what's in this forest. And as you can see, already quite some casualties inflicted. On the other side of the map, it's just a bit of a cavalry back and forth still, and we see another unit of Jaegers moving up. Oh, and he moved his Jaegers out just a bit too far, losing 6 men in the process.
The enemy has hidden units, sir.
Right as he moves out another unit of Jaegers over here to put up a line of stakes right here, and that's going to cost this unit quite dearly. Over here we still see that unit of Jaegers moving first. This is really a... These two positions are really strong to just hold. He is reacting to my cavalry movement again. And around this time I think it is that I decide to start moving those two units all the way around over here to try and gain a local cavalry advantage. Yep, you can see them starting. You can see them starting to move with the orders issued. Meanwhile, all is still quiet within the forest. This is honestly the point where I wished I had brought like a set of howitzers to position in the forest over here just to start blasting on that cavalry. Over here we can see another unit of Jaegers just moving up in their nice green coats. So there's now going to be a couple of units of Jaegers in here, at least 3 units of Grenadiers. And he's got at least 3 units of cavalry over here, 1 Jaeger here, 1 Jaeger here, 1 unit of Grenadiers I haven't seen for a while, and now these Jaegers are going to start coming up. And I'm going to start putting down stakes over here so I can't rush through the middle with my cavalry. Over here we are getting some nice pot shots off at these Jaegers. I'm going to lose quite a couple of men here. They appear to have lost 11 men just from entering the forest. But it's really going to be these sharpshooters that are going to pull me through this engagement over here. Meanwhile, these Jaegers are just going to move up to put down stakes over here. And they are quickly going to realize that that might have been a mistake as they suddenly lose 9 men. As both my Marines and my foot riflemen open up on. But that is not going to last for long because his artillery unit is going to start opening up on him. For some reason he is going to keep this unit over here, just to suffer casualties, but it's not going at a fast enough rate for the ammunition expanded. So I'm just going to tell these guys to stop shooting in a bit. Meanwhile, my cavalry has almost arrived on my right flank. Ready to make an excursion against these, at the time presumably, 3 units of Gardulans. These guys are now having lost close to 20 men. Make that 21. All still quiet in the forest over here. What I might have been testing here is see how much of an effect stakes actually have on stopping, well, musket balls. As we have seen in a replay a long time ago where I just stacked stakes upon stakes upon stakes upon stakes that really no shots got through. Over here, me just doing another cavalry probe against his Gardulans. Right as my backup units arrive.
Sir.
Over here we can see a unit of cuirassiers, meaning that I actually missed some of his cavalry, as he's going to start moving them over to the other flank to help out his Gardulans. And look at this, another unit of Cilician cuirassiers. So that's at least 5 units of cavalry on his side. Over on this flank, we can see him moving out some of his grenadiers. So he's at least going to have grenadiers over here, 3 units of guard cavalry, and 2 units of regular cavalry on their way. And it's at this point that his artillery starts opening up on this unit of marines, killing 8 men in the first volley. This is going to cause me to tell these guys to stop shooting, as to not have them make a target of themselves. Meanwhile, this unit of theirs is down to 80 men. And this is where I make my big cavalry gamble. I want to be in here and fighting his cavalry before his reinforcements can really make their way and before these units of grenadiers are properly set up. This is going to turn out to be a mistake, but we will see that later. Apparently this one doesn't want to fire. Probably switching targets too many times because of the line of sight now. Unit of Jaegers now down to 70 men. And this is where the cavalry engagement is going to start off with me moving forward all 4 of my units of National Lancers.
The enemy has hidden units, sir.
And before, these guys would be really strong, being able to one-on-one every single cavalry unit in the game. This mod changed that because it lowered their stats, as well as increased the size of Guard Ulan cavalry. All is now just a little bit quiet as I'm thinking about how I'm going to approach this cavalry engagement. I can see his cavalry over here moving about, still 3 units of guard Uhlans. I can take those 3 units with my 4 units of cavalry. What I however forgot about were those grenadiers setting up right over here and those cuirassiers coming over. So I move my cavalry into the forest. And I'm preparing to charge. Leaving 2 units right over here and moving 2 units to flank. I'm going to charge and bait his cavalry in with 2 of my units to then countercharge with the 2 other. And you'll be able to see the right exact moment where I figure out that I fucked up. Right as these 2 units are getting ready to charge. And here they go. Moving out of the forest, charging right at the formation of cavalry over here. To then spot all of these units. So I try to pull my units out, but one gets caught. The other one does manage to get out, and the other 2 units pursue as I countercharge with my other 2 units of cavalry. And then going for a head-on charge with my National Lancers. Right as he's moving in one of his Silesian cuirassiers. And this unit will single-handedly tip the cavalry engagement right into his favor, as I am currently managing to somewhat win, but these cuirassiers coming in will seal this engagement into Prussia's favor. To zoom in to give you a bit of a close-up of the fighting. With the Guard Uhlans in blue and my National Lancers in red. Here we have another unit of cuirassiers coming in just to seal the deal. Got 3 units of grenadiers over here as far as I know, and that's when this engagement kicks off, right as I move my foot riflemen forward. And you start a shooting engagement with his units of grenadiers in the forest. And we see these bodies appearing right out of nowhere, meaning that we are actually hitting his Jaegers that he has a screening force in front of him. Right here, we are going to start off our shooting. Me popping a military cadence on practically all of my units again. Just to get them fresh for a while. And for the moment, we are actually winning the shooting engagement. We are killing slightly more of them than they're killing of us. Bad thing is they are less of us than there are of them. So I need to try and find another front to open. And this little patch of forest, with just 1 unit of Jaegers, might just be that. So as you can see, I moved these 2 units of Marines over here. And over here, the fighting is still going on. Only going to go on for quite a while. And to prevent the situation like this, the sniping ability will be removed from all skirmishers in the next version of this rebalance mod, as well as giving skirmishers better line of sight into forests, as to truly make the concept of recon by force possible. Then we move over here where we see these units of Jaegers moving up again. And we can see this unit of Jaegers moving out, getting absolutely decimated. It would have been of much better use staying in the forest. It was kind of a good distraction, but it didn't really do anything. Now over here, I did try to move this unit over here, but they decided to march with their side right towards the enemy. So I was able to extend my line a bit by putting this unit of Marines into position, but they don't really have anything to shoot at yet. Like over here, this unit of my Marines is taking most of the fire. Still holding strong. With both units of my skirmishers racking up the kills, as their max veterancy will give them 24 accuracy. Over here, his grenadiers are down to 120 and 140. Just way worse off than my Marines. Like again on this side, he has moved his unit of skirmishers back into a position for me to shoot at, but I decide to move my footmen out. And you get ready to, well, basically move in as I send forth a unit of Marines to scout into this forest and get 3 units of Montgomery Guard ready to just push in. Meanwhile, my other unit of Montgomery Guard is going to move up in support of my skirmishers. At this point I have decided to just rush in the skirmishers as well and force them out through melee. Gun engagement is going to go on for quite a while over here, with another unit of Guard Uhlans here. And I just pop a cadence and charge right into these skirmishers. These Jaegers standing no chance in melee. And that is when Prussia moves in the remainder of his cavalry force, which is going to get countered by my Montgomery Guards and my skirmishers moving up in support. And the weak units that were left after the cavalry engagement over here are now going to get shot to pieces. Meanwhile, he is on this side of the field deploying more stakes with his grenadiers, but deciding it's not really worth it as I'm going to be flanking him, so he moves his units over into this forest. Right here in the center we can see his 2 units of Silesian cuirassiers. Well, one is, the other one disappeared. Over here on the forest shooting front, the Prussian line has pretty much turned into a pile of corpses, with 101 and 96 men left in each unit respectively, and who knows how many still in the skirmishing unit, whom has had some really bad casualties, as you could see. These units of skirmishers still shooting at my skirmishers, but not really doing too much. Over on this side, I'm pushing in all of my 3 units of my Montgomery Guard to right here. and moving up this unit of guard to force out this unit of skirmishers. But they didn't really want to shoot. Till of course they have reformed. At which time they start getting hit by artillery again. With that, this unit of Jaegers is going to be forced out of the forest, and I can run into it. On the other side here, I have set up a defense with what is left of this unit of Marines and my Montgomery Guard, with me planning to move over these two right onto the flank of this position. On the side, the fight's still going on. It's going to keep going on for quite a while. So I decided to move these two units of guard over here, and this unit is going to move right to the edge of this forest together with the skirmishers. As you can see, a real painful volley of the artillery coming in, killing quite a few men. Over here we can see him planning to move over his cavalry. But these cavalry are not really going to have the best of fate, as they are getting ready to charge at 2 squares. And charge, well, right at my line. I have currently formed to be very nice at facing cavalry, and these guys are just getting shot to pieces. Nothing they can really do about it, as they are forced into melee with my skirmishers, which is just going to hold them in position to be shot up by my marine. On this flank, he's going to move up a unit of Jaegers to try and claim this part of the forest, but they are going to have to contend with these marines. As over here, his cavalry is getting pretty devastated. On this side, he did manage to break the square, and my other square didn't really seem too eager to shoot into that. But eventually they do let out a volley, and this kills what was left of the cavalry unit, and I decide to start moving in my elite infantry to break this forced position. And that's where he pulls out 2 units of Hanoverian Guard, armed with the Dreiset needle gun. And these units are absolute monsters. But to face them, I'll have to get through these 2 fairly understrength units of Grenadiers first. We're currently fighting this unit of Marines, which isn't having the best of time.
Damn lily-livered cowards! Your men are running, sir!
My men here fighting the Jaegers in melee, deciding to shoot straight into them from close range. But they are going to break soon, as there are only 15 men left. On this flank, I am moving up my skirmishers to deal with his artillery. Meanwhile, because he's really laying the casualties into my elite units, well, I move up my elites to just break his position in the forest over here. And this fire being laid down over here is just going to be brutal as his units start breaking. when I take 2 hits into the flank of this unit, bringing it down to wavering. But morale keeps up as they get hit again. As I am moving my skirmishers into melee with the artillery crews to just try and get them to stop firing. As they shoot canister right into that unit. But over here, the battle for breaking into the forest has been won, but now my Montgomery Guard are going to have to face these Hanoverians. And they're not going to win a shooting battle. So I can do 2 things. I can shoot and lose, or I can charge and stop them from firing. Over here, a half-dead unit of Jaegers decided to come back and have a melee fight with what was left of a unit of my footmen, and they lost. So over here, I pop my abilities and I charge. No reason not to engage these guys in melee, as it'll be a Wayfarer fight, and he forgot to turn guard mode on. So his unit just breaks rank and starts fighting. All the while, I moved up this unit of Montgomery to shoot into the flank, currently laying down suppressive fire. On this side, this unit is still, well, battling with what is left of my infantry. And then my units decide to form up and start shooting point blank into these guards. Absolutely brilliant. And this really starts cutting them down. To the point that they try to reform unsuccessfully. And somehow end up parallel, and somehow end up at a 90-degree angle to my formation. At which point they start to waver and will eventually rout. As I charge my infantry at the other unit of guard he has. And this will prove to be a much tougher fight, as I don't have my abilities to regain my stamina anymore. And this time he does have guard mode enabled, as his unit just kept on firing for a while straight into mine. But now the fight has started properly. With me moving in my units to try and outflank and shoot them in the rear. While what is left of 2 units of guard try to pin these guys down as I encircle them ready for the kill. And that's when he moves over 2 practically fresh units of Grenadiers, and his Hanoverian Guard come back from routing. Now, by this point, I had practically forgotten that I still had this unit of guard over here, so... but they are going to be important in just a bit. Well, I can pop my ability again, so my unit is fresh, still fighting these guard, and these guard will just not break. Surrounded on all sides, engaged in melee, and being shot in the back, they just don't care. And they will keep on fighting for quite a while. As I move what was left of the forest group over to shoot into them. At this point, I have to move back one unit of my guard to engage these reinforcements. And these Zenobrian Guard will just not break. Because what is now a unit of Marines is pinning them down with all others charging them from all sides. Meanwhile over here I'm engaged in a line battle with a returned unit of Guard and a unit of Grenadiers. As I move up one of my still pretty intact units of skirmishers to aid in the fight. But then he moves up another unit of Grenadiers, and at this point I think that it is over for me. He has more than enough fresh troops to crush what I have left. Then his guards start wavering. But come back. Which is annoying. Then they finally break. And this is a pretty nice reprieve. There is one unit of his Zenobran guards gone, and the other one now being the main focus of what is left of my infantry. As a unit of general staff comes around. Right when a unit of grenadiers charges into my foot riflemen. So I quickly form up, trying to make a line to stop these grenadiers, hoping my riflemen will hold out long enough for me to shoot into this and inflict any form of damage. And this unit of Marines runs out of ammunition, and I just charge them at the guard. And the guards are happy enough to countercharge. Absolutely destroying my Marines. And at this point, everything I have is these very meager units. This group of skirmishers, and one unit of Montgomery Guard I had completely forgotten about.
Your men are routing, sir.
And these Marines over here trying to kill what they can, but they are completely outnumbered. And the moment they get into melee, they are going to start routing. All the while still inflicting casualties on this unit of Grenadiers. Meaning that by the time they're done fighting, this is going to be a pretty meager unit. And then Prussia decides to do something either ingenious or completely retarded, and he's going to charge this unit of skirmishers with his general staff. So I notice this, and I'm going to pop my ability on these guys and have them countercharge. And they instantly kill that unit, the general's unit. This means Prussia will now be fighting without a general, meaning he will have a stupidly high morale hit. This is also around the time that I noticed I still had one unit of light infantry left. So my hope is now that this unit can rout these guys before they rout. Or all die. Over here, what was left of that skirmisher unit that just beamed his general staff is getting crushed. Not without taking down a good couple of his grenadiers. But the grenadiers are a superior melee unit, even with all the stat buffs.
Battlefield, sir.
So at this point he has this, what was left of this unit of grenadiers left, and what is left of all these units left, which is I think 2 grenadier units, which he is going to start moving up now to face off against my one semi-depleted unit of guard. And if his general didn't get memed,
Sir, coffee, sir?
he would have had a chance of winning this, but his units now have very low morale. And we're just going to speed this up a little bit as I form up my unit, while he moves his troops up the hill, and you can see this guy's wavering just by walking. I notice he is intent to just move up the hill, so I am going to try and get a flank on him going. He notices this and starts running, but he's not really going to make it far enough. I try and do a sneaky flank on him, move up, and this is where the battle is going to be decided. With these guys getting into melee, getting shot up, going to wavering, and then just routing. And all it takes to get this unit to do the same thing is just to shoot them a bit. As they too come in for a charge. Unit reforms, shoots a bit, they take a couple of casualties. And they rout. And that is it for this battle, as this guy just routs from army losses. If his general didn't charge this unit of skirmishers over here, he would have most likely won this battle. That's where we're going to be leaving it off for today. Thank you all for watching, and I hope I see you guys next time. Bye for now.